You know, it's funny, a few days ago I saw an article titled College Football Realignment is Over. And then, of course, yesterday we get the big bombshell that Colorado now is joining the Big 12 starting in 2024. This has led to a ton of speculation, a ton of tweets. I'm just going to go through them, give my opinions. Apparently, the rumors with the Pac 12 now are so bad and the TV deal has gotten so low, it's forced Colorado to leave. They're looking at around 18 to 21 million per year, and it's going to be in part streaming. A lot of these teams looking to get out of the Pac-12, but where are they all going to go? We've got rumors that the Big Ten might not be looking at expansion right now. I'm going to break it all down. You can see this tweet. This is the official announcement. Colorado, they have not formally applied, but it is expected to happen today. News: Colorado leaving Pac-12 for Big 12 happening in 2024. Colorado will receive the full 32 million media share. Now, that's an important number because, again, the rumor is that the current negotiations with the Pac-12 media deal, you're looking at per year 18 to 21 million. So Colorado, this is a bump by at least 10 million per year. It does make sense, but this gives both the Pac-12 and the Big 12 now an odd number of teams. So certainly realignment is not done. We might even just be getting started when it comes to this. Let's just openly discuss the inevitable. This is the Big 12 getting Colorado, Utah, Arizona State, Arizona. This is the stuff that we talked about last year in August. The entire speculation was around those four teams going to the Big 12. The Big 10, Oregon, Washington, Stanford, and Cal. And then Oregon State and Washington State would have to go to the Mountain West because this would completely disband the Pac-12. And this doesn't even talk about the mega bombshell of the situation with the ACC. You've got FSU, Clemson not happy with that horrific TV deal. What happens there? Do they renegotiate that? ESPN currently enjoying an amazing TV deal that is not good for those bigger schools, but the Big 12, yes, with Colorado going there, it does seem more likely that Utah, Arizona State, and Arizona might join them. We also could see the Pac-12 try and do a last-ditch effort of salvaging themselves and trying to lure San Diego State back. Although at this point, would San Diego State even want to join? I mean, San Diego State already had their own issues trying to leave the Mountain West. You can see the Big Ten. Certainly, if this expansion continues, Oregon, Washington seem like slam dunks to the Big Ten. It gets a little more cloudy. I think Stanford would get chosen over Cal. And then the Big Ten's big grand plan, in my estimation, is also getting Notre Dame, but that would probably be years in advance. Big Ten will not add anyone that doesn't add value, and Cal and Stanford don't. Well, I think Stanford does. I think they would take Stanford and they would liken Stanford to like a better version of Northwestern. But I'm guessing they would want to switch Cal out for Notre Dame. This person also mentions Miami. I don't view Miami as a fit, but I do understand the idea of it because right now Miami's in a weird spot. We don't really know what's happening to them. Big 12 presidents and chancellors unanimously vote to accept Colorado as new conference member. Pac-12 has had multiple opportunities to end the Big 12, and yet here we are with the Big 12 trying to land a knockout punch before the end of the round. Trading Colorado for San Diego State today makes the Pac-12 stronger. Colorado has been nothing short of an embarrassment. Yeah, that just seems like cope to me from Pac-12 people. You have to understand the situation with the Pac-12 is just not good, and it all goes back to the TV deal. We thought we were going to get the TV deal back in March. Then they said, oh, it's coming around the Final Four, and now we still haven't gotten it. That is not a good sign. You could say, well, they're negotiating it. They're trying to get a better deal. For it to go on this long, it's a terrible sign that they really don't have many takers for it. And ESPN probably isn't going to be willing to go into it considering their financial restraints right now. They've already given out big money to the SEC. Fox is in bed with the Big Ten. CBS is in bed with the Big Ten. NBC is in bed with the Big Ten. Where does that leave the Pac-12? And then you also have the Big 12 with ESPN. So I don't know what dance partner the Pac-12 currently has. It might just be streaming services, which would be a complete turnoff to many of those teams, especially Washington and Oregon. You want your games on cable TV. You want your games on at bars. I do think that at some point we will be able to solve this streaming issue to where you'll be able to stream games and watch them at bars, but it's just really complex and complicated right now. And I think, could that be something that the Pac-12 does? I mean, I guess, but that doesn't make them better. The other issue is Colorado is probably going to be a more attractive. I mean, think about it. They just got Deion Sanders. Obviously, the ratings in their games are going to go up significantly. So this is big news that they're leaving. The Pac-12 is rumored to have one chance at surviving, and it is below. Either this gets done in the next 2 weeks to stay a respectable Power 5, or the conference won't survive. And it says they should add Tulane, SMU, and San Diego State. My God. I mean, I just think the power structure right now in college football is so bad. If this conference came to fruition, this is like a group of 5 level conference. I understand you have Oregon and Washington, but after that, this is just not a good conference, folks. I mean, Utah, you would still have Utah, but Tulane, that's not going to get it done. SMU, maybe a 5 or 6 win team. And then also adding San Diego State. They're solid. I mean, San Diego State, I understand why they're an attractive team. They just got a new stadium. They always seem to win at least 7 or 8 games. They have stability. The San Diego market, you can understand it, but it's just not a good conference. Maybe that is their only chance at surviving. Getting reports that San Diego State, SMU, UNLV, they want that Vegas market, and Colorado State have been contacted by the Pac-12 and been put on standby. So it seems like the Pac-12 is shifting as they try and survive. San Diego State, SMU, which we've heard about before. That was the whole idea. If they lost to Washington and Oregon, they would go after those 2 teams. But now you've also got UNLV. I mean, UNLV's been just horrible forever. The reason they would add them is for the Vegas market. And then Colorado State to replace Colorado. I mean, Colorado State was terrible last year. Not that it really matters. You can't just judge it off of 1 year, but that is not that good of a program. Pac-12 sources saying Colorado departure won't affect their current TV valuations too much. The problem was those valuations weren't great to start, and there is the number, 18 to 21 million per school. Yeah, I mean, what does it turn into? So before you lose Colorado, you're valued at 18 million, then you lose Colorado. Can it really go down that much? It was already so small to begin with. What does it go down to, 17.5 million? I mean, it is such a small number. That's just not sustainable. There is no way that Washington and Oregon, you would think, there is no way that they would be okay with 18 million per year. There's no way. But I mean, who knows? We'll see. But that is not a good valuation, and it's also not surprising. Them taking as long as they have to try and get a TV deal, it just shows you that they're desperate. They have no good deals, and Colorado leaving also is big evidence that the deal that they were going to be getting was terrible. I mean, obviously, Colorado being in conference knew the negotiations and the numbers surrounding it and said, you know what, we're not interested. These numbers suck. We're going to take our $31 million every year from the Big 12 and really join a stable conference. And what we're seeing right now with college football is we're seeing a setup where we have the Big Two, the Big Ten and the SEC, and the thought process behind those 2 conferences. The SEC may try and poach ACC teams. The Big Ten might try and poach Notre Dame, along with a West Wing of Colorado, along with a West Wing of Oregon and Washington, and then maybe you bring in an academic school like Stanford. But after the Big Two, you have 2 solid conferences. I understand the ACC has not been good in terms of the football teams recently, but you have powerful brands remaining in that conference still. And then it's like you have the Pac-12, which is hanging on by a thread. We'll see what happens with it. But if that 18 to 21 million per year for the TV deal is correct, that is not boding well for the future. And then we have college football expansion, Big Ten. So yeah, this was news. The Big Ten, their new commissioner coming out and saying they're not expected to add any teams in the near future. So right now, I think the biggest storyline, you have an odd number of teams in the Pac-12 and in the Big 12. What happens now in terms of the TV deal with the Pac-12? Probably not really going to be impacted by Colorado. The reason is because it was so small to begin with. Does this move really make the Big 12 that much better? Not necessarily, but at least it establishes it as a solid college football conference moving forward, as a healthy conference that's adding teams, that does have an attractive TV deal, that does, they're going to have games on ESPN, and that's why Colorado likes it. And just talking about Colorado's program, it's very, very hard to judge because they are going to get an influx of viewership, of hype surrounding the program. They were completely dead in the water the past 3 or 4 years. They were 1-11 last year, and now they have Deion Sanders, but we're at the point where Deion Sanders hasn't even coached a single game yet, so it's hard to really judge what Colorado football actually is going to be. Are they going to be 6-6? Are they going to be 7-5? Are they going to have momentum? And then there's a lot of speculation surrounding Deion Sanders. He's only going to be there 3 years. He's using this as a stepping stone to get to a major Power 5 job. You also have to factor that in. Where does Colorado pivot after that? Is this really that good of a pickup? I think if anything, it just signifies that the Big 12 is in a very stable position and they can lure other teams from conferences, and that's what we're seeing happening right here. So guys, we will see what the Pac-12 does to pivot to try and keep the teams we're looking at: Arizona, Arizona State, Utah. I heard there were rumors that Oregon was getting desperate. Oregon and Washington possibly contacting the Big 12. It's getting really, really ugly right now when it comes to the Pac-12 trying to stabilize this situation. Losing USC and UCLA, and now losing Colorado, and possibly on the verge of losing other teams, with a horrible TV deal likely on the way. We'll see if they're able to do it. I hope the Pac-12 survives just for college football. I don't like, conferences not existing anymore, especially a conference on the West Coast. I think it's good and healthy to have different conferences in every region, but this is where college football is right now. Either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.